What makes a defender truly feared? Is it brute strength or crunching tackles? Or maybe it's something more subtle, like being 2 steps ahead of everyone else on the pitch. Paolo Maldini didn't just stop attacks, he made players question their every pass. How did he do it? And what made him one of the most feared defenders in football history? Stick around, because we're about to reveal why Maldini was a nightmare for the world's best strikers. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button so you never miss our deep dives into football's greatest legends. Now, let's talk about what made Paolo Maldini such a nightmare for attackers. The man was like a chess grandmaster on a football pitch. While most defenders were running around throwing themselves into tackles, Maldini was standing there like, what's all the fuss about? You see, for him, defending wasn't just about brute force. No, it was about outsmarting his opponents, and he did it every single time. Maldini famously said, "If I have to make a tackle, I've already made a mistake." Now think about that for a second. Most defenders pride themselves on those bone-crunching, last-ditch tackles. But for Maldini, that was Plan Z. If he was making a tackle, it meant something went wrong way earlier. He didn't need to wrestle anyone to the ground. He was already 2 moves ahead of them, like he had football's cheat codes. Imagine this. You're an attacker running towards the goal, and there's Maldini casually moving into position. You're thinking, I've got this. But just as you make your move, boom, the ball is gone and you don't even know what happened. Maldini didn't need to tackle because he had already anticipated what you were going to do. It's like he was reading your mind. This guy was like a psychic, but with better hair. One of his superpowers was positioning. He always knew where to be, and it wasn't by accident. Maldini studied the game, and he studied you. He understood the patterns of play, where the ball was likely to go, and before you knew it, he was there, cutting off the attack before it even started. You could run circles around most defenders, but with Maldini, it felt like you were running into a brick wall, one that politely intercepted the ball and handed it back to his team. What's even crazier is that Maldini didn't rely on his physicality to intimidate attackers. Sure, he was strong, but that wasn't what scared people. It was his ability to make you look like an amateur. He had this calm, almost effortless style of defending. No lunging tackles, no unnecessary aggression, just pure intelligence. I mean, how many defenders do you know that could make you think, wait, maybe football isn't for me? In a game where many defenders were throwing themselves at attackers like they were in some kind of wrestling match, Maldini was the guy sipping tea saying, "Relax, I've got this." He could dismantle an attack with one well-timed interception like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. But instead of a rabbit, it was your hopes of getting past him. Now let's talk about one of Maldini's most impressive traits, his versatility. You see, most defenders pick a lane. Either they're a center back or a fullback. Not Maldini. This guy played both like it was no big deal. One day he's shutting down the left flank as a left back, and next he's in the heart of the defense as a center back, making attackers regret even showing up. It's like Maldini had a Swiss Army knife for a football brain. He could adapt to any defensive role depending on the game's needs. Most players would struggle switching between positions, but not Paolo. Whether he was marking speedy wingers or holding down the center against strikers, he made it look like child's play. It's almost like he woke up and thought, which position should I dominate today? What really set him apart was his positional awareness. Maldini always knew exactly where to be, regardless of the role he was playing. At left back, he'd be bombing forward, making crucial interceptions, and then at center back, he'd be organizing the entire defense like a maestro conducting an orchestra. And the best part? He made it look effortless. You'd see him glide from one position to another without skipping a beat. He didn't just play those roles, he mastered them. This ability to switch roles made him invaluable to both AC Milan and Italy. Coaches knew that no matter what kind of tactical setup they wanted, they had Maldini as their ace in the hole. Need him on the wing to deal with a tricky winger? No problem. Need him in the middle to stop a powerhouse striker? Done! He was like the defensive equivalent of a multi-tool. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good multi-tool? Now let's talk about Paolo Maldini's legendary leadership and his mind-blowing career longevity. I mean, the guy was playing top-tier football until he was 40. That's like staying at the party until everyone else is too tired to dance, but instead of getting tired, you're still leading the conga line. Maldini wasn't just hanging around either. He was AC Milan's captain for a big part of his career. And when he wore that armband, he meant business. He wasn't the loud, in-your-face type of leader. He led by example. He didn't need to scream at his teammates. He showed them how it was done. Calm under pressure, unshakable in defense, and always there when his team needed him. You know the guy who always has a plan in the middle of chaos? That was Maldini on the pitch. And let's not forget, under his leadership, Milan didn't just win trophies. They dominated Serie A and Europe. We're talking 7 Serie A titles and 5 Champions League trophies. Maldini's ability to inspire and organize his team helped build one of the most successful football dynasties in history. If you were on the pitch with him, you just knew you had to step up your game, or risk getting that look from him. You know, the one that says, "Come on, we're winning this." Even as he aged, Maldini never lost that sharpness, that hunger to win. In fact, he aged like a fine wine, better with time. While most players are winding down by their late 30s, Maldini was still out there, bossing defenses like it was his first day on the job. Longevity, leadership, and a whole lot of class. That's Maldini. Now let's talk about Paolo Maldini's trophy-laden career and how his achievements basically required an entire room just to store all that silverware. First off, we're talking about 7 Serie A titles. Yep, 7. Most players dream of winning just one, but Maldini, he collected them like they were trading cards. And then there's the Champions League, 5 times. This man lifted Europe's most prestigious trophy 5 times with AC Milan, making him one of the most decorated players in the tournament's history. To put that into perspective, most clubs haven't even won it that many times. And here's Maldini with a hand in all 5. Maldini's individual accolades are just as impressive. He finished 3rd in the Ballon d'Or voting twice. Now let's pause for a second. This is a defender we're talking about, a position that usually gets about as much Ballon d'Or love as goalkeepers. But Maldini, he broke the mold. He was so good, so impactful, that even the attacking players had to stand back and say, yeah, this guy's on another level. What makes it even more special is the praise he received from the very legends he played against. Icons like Ronaldo, Roberto Baggio, and Zidane. These guys had seen it all, faced every defender imaginable, and yet they still regarded Maldini as the greatest. When the best of the best are tipping their hat to you, you know you've made it. So if you want to dive deeper into the greatness of players like Maldini, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We've got more amazing videos lined up just for you. Keep watching and let's continue exploring the legends of the beautiful game.